Hey guys, welcome to day 20. Happy Friday. Today we got two very short sentences, and we have a sentence that has two really interesting parts to it. But before we get to that, let's just do what we've always done, and that is divide our sentences into sections, and we use our punctuations for that, and there we go. These are two sentences, which means we're going to have two subjects and two predicates most likely. Let's test that. We got our subject she, and we have, whoa, I think we just hit that first interesting part. We got must, and we have another verb right next to it, which is hide. And I'll explain what that means in a minute. Then we have we in our second sentence and our predicate walk. All right. Um, to get to our first subject predicate, she must hide. The reason why I separated this particular um, verb into two sections is because we have something that we call in English a modal verb. And I'll write that down over here. Modal verb. Okay. So modal verbs is kind of like the auxiliary verbs. And we've already met auxiliary verbs before. You'll remember that auxiliary verbs are verbs that come before your main verb. So, for example, I am walking. The walking part is our main verb. Am is our auxiliary verb, okay? So when we are conjugating the verb and taking I am, which is present, into a past, I would say I was walking, right? The main verb stays the same and the auxiliary verb changes. So a modal verb is simply a verb, because must is a verb, uh, that is going to literally model the meaning of your next verb, okay? And you get two choices. You can either have an affirmative, meaning must do something, or we will have something called a negative, which is must not do something. Okay, by adding this modal verb to your verb tense, in other languages, for example, this would be more of a gerund or a gerundive. English doesn't have that. Latin certainly does. But we compensate by simply separating the two word verbs together. So when must she hide this beauty? It's in the present. So as long as you see must, you have to go somewhere. Those are all modal verbs. All right. But is another interesting thing about this sentence, and we're starting with a but. We've already covered and as you guys recall, when you're telling stories and you want to pause and then, oops, I remembered something, this effect can get you to start your sentences with and. And I'm pretty sure you've heard you cannot start your sentences with but. But in this case, if you look back to our previous challenge, we just finished reading a character describing their mom and saying that the beauty has no place, or in another world, she could be beautiful. But that but is a way to pause and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, trying to justify what she has said before. So, but she must hide that beauty is a perfect way to start your next sentence. You could probably get away with this in narrative only. If you're going to do that on an essay, so for example, you have a period and then you have a but, you don't want to do that. You want your idea to flow, and you're kind of telling your reader in the essays that, oh my goodness, they forgot something. So narrative is perfect, poetry is perfect, but in terms of essay writing, not so much. Okay, so that's why we started this sentence off with a but. Now that we have our subject and predicates and we divided out our clauses into sections, let's go after the noun cases. So, what must she hide? What must she hide is beauty. And it's not just any beauty, it's that beauty. Okay, agreeing with it. So that's the direct object. And then we have in what? In abnegation. Okay, so this is an object of the preposition. That's it. And the second one is we walk. Now, together, you will ask, oh my goodness, what is this? This is not a direct object. Remember, walk is a verb of motion. You are walking. You cannot take a direct object, which means whatever comes after is either going to be a preposition or an adverb. If this is answering how we walked, how did we walk together? This is an adverb. ADV, and I'm writing on the mouse pad, so not too legible, but that's an adverb, together. And then we have to and kitchen, answers to that preposition. In this case, this is an indirect object. Don't forget that indirect objects have to or for as their preposition. And this is what verbs of motion would usually take: an indirect object. I'm walking to the store. I am running to my house. To is always going to be following, typically, a verb of motion. Last but not least, let's get to our verb tenses. So we got she must hide, which is third person singular. It is in the present, and yes, I'm thinking right now everybody knows it's simple and it's indicative. Next, we walk. First person plural, present simple indicative. Awesome. That's it. Fairly straightforward. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Remember, take your time. If you're working on the essay and you're still having difficulty, I am available all the time next week, starting Tuesday. Don't forget, Monday is PD day, so we will not be around. But Tuesday, I'll be checking in with you again. Hopefully, you can come to Google Meets and we get a chance to take a look at your essays. I've helped a few already, and thank you so much for checking in. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, guys, and let's hope this ends quickly. Okay? Bye, guys. Take care.